Hey guys. All right, so let's continue. Clearly, you're enjoying the story, so why make you wait anymore? All right, here we go. Screen's going black. We are on chapter 7, Trashing Joey's Room. When I got to Joey's house that night, his room looked the same as always, but not for long. Been working on myself so far, he said. Now it's my room's turn. First, we put up posters, Rambo, Hulk Hogan, and ones showing these big, nasty, robot-type dude. Except you could see whiskers and a long tail sticking out. It was called Robo-Rat. He checked out the walls. Good, now the rest. He started with his bookshelf. He pulled out 4 or 5 volumes of his encyclopedia and threw them on the floor. Then he tossed out a couple comic books and a National Geographic. He opened every drawer in his dresser. He flipped out stuff from each one. Socks, underwear, shirts. They landed all over. He kicked his wastebasket over. He dragged his dirty clothes hamper from the closet and dumped it on the floor. He charged into his desk. Pencils and papers and rubber bands went flying. About the only thing he didn't do was spit. By now, you couldn't hardly see the floor. He stood in the middle, turning, nodding, smiling. Yeah, now it's my room. I just sat on the bed, stunned. Until then, Joey Peterson's room had been the neatest room I had ever seen. And he wasn't done. We ordered a pizza, and when he got done with the crust of each slice, he tossed it over his shoulder. One landed in his underwear drawer. The pizza box he flipped like a frisbee against the wall. After that, we had fudgesicles and peanut chews. The wrappers, at least his wrappers, went onto the floor. He took a wad of bubble gum from his mouth and winged it against his dresser mirror. It stuck. I guess he couldn't think of anything else to do to his room because he turned back to himself. He pulled something from his pocket. It looked like a little notepad. What is it? I asked him. He grinned. Tattoos. Oh, no. Into the bathroom we went. He tore off 4 and wetted them. Pretty soon he was tattooed on the chest, skull and crossbones, both arms, a cobra and a mongoose, and rear end. If you can read this, you're too close. I hope you guys are getting that. Rear end means he got a tattoo on his butt. You know, they're not going to last, I told him. They'll last till I take a bath, he said, and I ain't getting a bath except once a month from now on. I pinched my nose. Oh, great, man. Do you have to smell like a rat, too? As we left the bathroom, we bumped into his mother. I saw your room, she said. What are you doing in there? Training elephants? We laughed. Well, she looked at Joey. As soon as Suds leaves tomorrow, you see that it gets cleaned up. Uh-oh, I thought. This is it. Will he practice what he preaches? Joey slouched against the bathroom doorway. He looked off down the hall. Nah, I don't think so. Mrs. Peterson blinked. You don't think what? I don't think I'm going to clean it up. I like it that way. I took a step back. If Mrs. Peterson was about to get violent, I wanted to be out of range. Joey looked at the floor. I looked at Mrs. Peterson. Mrs. Peterson glaring daggers at Joey. This lasted for about 3 hours. Then all of a sudden it was over. Mrs. Peterson gave a little shrug and smiled and said, "Okay," and walked away. I gawked at Joey. Just on this one day, he had faced a bee, a mad mother, and here he was, alive and healthy as ever. He gave me the thumbs up sign. See? Nothing to it. Then Joey told me to wait in his room. When he came back, he had a hammer, a jar of nails, a bag of cotton balls, a bottle of iodine, and some Band-Aids. I asked what all of this was for. "Put a hole in my ear," he said. I screeched, "You're gonna wear an earring?" "Nope." "So why are you putting a hole in your ear?" He grinned. "Pain." If I didn't already know he was loony, I knew it now. I told him, "The only thing about you that's turning rat is your brain." He ignored me. He cleared a space on his desk. He opened the jar of nails and dumped them out. He rooted through them until he found one that he liked, a long, thin one. He handed the nail to me, along with the hammer. He got a felt tip pin. He went to his mirror and put a dot in the middle of his earlobe. He came back to the desk, knelt down beside it, real close, and flapped his lobe out so that it sat on the tiny pancake on the edge of the table. I looked at the hammer and the nail in my hands. "Oh, no," I said. I dumped them on the table and took a seat on the bed. "You do it if you're crazy enough." "I would," he said, "but I can't. Not like this. Come on, just do it." I didn't move. "You mind if I ask you a stupid question? Like why you want to hammer a hole in your ear? What do you mean, pain?" He pulled his earlobe off the desk. He sat on the floor. "You got to learn to take pain, that's all. No more crybaby, like the Indians used to do. You had to go off and go through stuff really painful before you could become a man. You had to prove you could take it." "I got news for you," I told him. "You're not an Indian." He looked at me disgusted. He grabbed the hammer and held it out. "You gonna do it?" I shook my head no. He threw the hammer down. "Thanks, pal." "Listen," I said. "If it means that much to you, why don't you just do some easier kind of pain, something that you don't need a hammer and a nail for?" "Like what?" he said. I thought about it. "Well, how about bending your finger back?" "Nah," he said. "That's dorky." I thought some more. "How about kicking your door with your bare big toe?" He didn't like that one either. "I got it," I said. "I knuckle your head 10 times. Forget it." But now I didn't want to forget it. I was getting into it. I rattled off some more. "Pull out a hair. Sit the three thickest volumes of the encyclopedia on your tongue. Sleep all night with erasers up your nose. Wrap your mouth around the door knob and slam it shut." I was still going when the phone rang. It was pretty late, so we were both surprised when his mother called and said it was for him. He went out. When he came back, he looked innocent. Too innocent. "It was her, wasn't it?" I said. "I told her not to call people so late." I shoved him. "Traitor!" He shoved me back. "Listen, Morton, I didn't call her. She called me." "Took you long enough to hang up." "What did you want me to do? Slam the phone as soon as she said hello?" "Maybe I want you to lay off her." He laughed. "I keep telling you, jerk face, I don't care about her. I ain't chasing her. She's chasing me. You want her to chase you?" He threw a pad of tattoos in my face. "Do something about it." We glared at each other. He turned on the TV. We watched a couple horror movies in silence. We went to bed. When we woke up Saturday morning, I said, "Okay." He rubbed sleepies from his eyes. "Okay, what?" "What do I do?" He sat up. "You're ready to be a rat?" I shrugged. "I guess so. But I don't think I know how. It doesn't come natural to me." "No sweat," he said. We just do what all beginners do." What's that? Practice. Chapter 8, Training Camp. We headed for my house. Training camp. Joey was my coach. "First," he said, "that crybaby stuff's gotta go." "How?" I said. "You still have your ET, don't you?" "Sure. My parents had given me a tape of the movie before my birthday." "I'll bet you start bawling every time ET dies, don't you?" "Well, follow me." We stuck my ET cassette into our VCR and ran it fast forward to where ET dies, or everybody thinks he dies. As soon the waterworks came on, my eyes and my cheeks were like Niagara Fall. Joey punched record, stop, play. ET died again, and I cried again. So it went, time after time, until the 22nd try. Joey had ran his finger across my cheek and nodded. Dry. He turned on the light and got in my face like a doctor. "Your eyes are a little watery, but nothing's falling out of them." He held out his hand. "You're on your way, rat." I gave him a high five. Next was spiders. Joey found one, trapped it under a paper cup, and brought it to me. I was sweating and shaking. "Hold out your hand." "I can't." "You want Judy Billings to like you or not?" What if it's a black widow?" I stuttered. "It's not. Or a tarantula." "It's a little white house spider. Hold out your hand." "I can't. It won't move." Joey made it move. He grabbed my hand and dumped the spider onto it. He was right. It was a little white house spider. But to me, it looked like a tarantula. I screamed and flipped it away. When we got to the 9th little house spider, I was still flipping, but I was doing it silently. Joey sighed. "Well, at least we got rid of the scream." He clapped his hands. "Okay, up to the roof." "No," I said. "Move," he said. I went upstairs like I was walking to the gallows. Even more than spiders, I'm scared of high heights. Joey steered me to my bedroom window. He made me open it. "Out," he said. "No," I said. Outside my window was the roof to our front porch. "No way," I said. I sat on my bed. I finally agreed to do it under 2 conditions. 1, I take my shoes and socks off to get a better grip on the roof. 2, we tie me to a rope. We tied one end of the rope to the bed and the other end, good and tight, went around my chest and under my arms. I climbed out. I sat on my windowsill. "Out," he said, "to the edge." I lowered myself to the sill. I sat on the roof. I dug my fingers and toes and rear end into the pebbly shingles. I inched forward. My heart felt like an exploding football in my chest. Come on, turn pages. I was halfway to the edge of the sidewalk below when the sidewalk below started to look wavy. Then the bushes got fuzzy. Then everything was turning around like the inside of a clothing dryer. Next thing I knew, I was hanging off the edge of the porch roof, swinging in the air above the front steps. Just then, Zipper Nose came out. The look on her face said nothing. Said, "I'm imagining I see my brother hanging from the roof. I'm having a hallucination." "Call somebody," I told her. "Get me down from here." She half turned, ready to obey me for the first time in her life. Then she spotted my feet. My bare feet. This time the look on her face said, "I may never get this chance as long as I live." She rushed to me. She grabbed my legs in a bear hug and started tickling the bottom of my feet. We, the Mortons, are a ticklish people. Extremely. By the time my mother finally came out and chased Zipper Nose off and got me down, I was about dead from laughing. For my next test, Joey led me to the little kids' playground at the park. "What are we doing here?" I asked him. "You'll see," he said. We waited, watched the little kids. After a while, Joey said, "You hungry?" "A little," I said. "For a Twinkie?" "Yeah, spongy cake, creamy inside. I love 'em." "Go for it," said Joey. He pointed to the little kid. He was eating a Twinkie in one hand, and the other hand held another Twinkie. "He doesn't need two," Joey whispered. "I can't," I said. "Take care of number one." "I can't." Judy Billings. Judy Billings. The kid was passing us. I reached out. I snatched the uneaten Twinkie. The kid howled bloody murder. I shoved the Twinkie back in his hand and took off. Last test. We hung out in my room. Last test, last chance. We hung out in my room waiting for my mother to ask me to do something. "When she does," Joey said, "you know what to say." Sure enough, pretty soon my mother showed up and she said, "Suds, will you excuse yourself from Joey long enough to help me empty your wastebasket, please?" Silence. Joey waiting. Mother waiting. Judy Billings waiting. The world waiting. I couldn't stand it. Maybe if she hadn't smiled, maybe if she hadn't said please. I said, "Okay, Mom." As soon as my mother left the room, Joey gave a disgruntled face grunt. He pointed to my one-eyed teddy bear. "I guess you're not going to be throwing that baby thing away, are you?" I looked at the bear, at him, in shock. "Nah, I don't think so," he sneered. "Better forget about it, Morton. You'll never hack it as a rat." He got up and left. I emptied my wastebasket. I figured he was right. I figured I was dumping my chances with Judy Billings with the trash. But I didn't figure on what would happen Monday at school. All right, guys, go to Flipgrid, answer the questions. Bye.